Republicans are ready to wreck the US economy unless President Biden agrees to devastating cuts to Social Security and Medicare.
If we really want to talk about the debt and spending, it's the entitlements program.
For what reason the age of retirement?
You know, that's interesting that you asked that question. People come up to me, they actually don't work hard.
Democrats were elected on the promise that they would defend Social Security against Republican attacks. Now is the moment of truth.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. I mean, that elected official walking through there talking about people talking to him saying they want to work longer. Maybe if they got the choice, but not if it's mandatory because they can't afford to live. I mean, what is wrong with this dude? And it's always curious to me how people in suits always want to talk about how folks want to live longer. Imagine working with your body for 30, 40 years. And you think at the age of 65 or 70 years old, you still want to be out there working? Hex to the no, you don't want to. And then when we talk about the racialized nature of this, because yeah, it's racialized. Black men die at younger ages. So hell, they may even die before they even get an opportunity to get Social Security. What is wrong with these people, these Republicans? It is something wrong with them, America. And I know that there are elderly or seasoned folks all over this country who do not want Social Security to be touched. As we know historically, it is one of the best policy initiatives to be introduced into this country in the 20th century, and it is still changing lives right to this day. And we are so glad that Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren do indeed recognize that this is a moment of truth. Baby, it's time to call the roll. Whose side are you on? Let's call the roll. Let's not play games with it. Let the American people determine who really is on their side and who is not on their side. Don't play games. Go ahead and pass it out of committee and put it on the floor and call the roll, so that folks can take to the streets over this. So check out this headline. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and other Democrats are once again trying to give retirees an additional $2,400 in their Social Security check. And while we on that point, I'm glad they want to give that $2,400. Even that's not enough, given the fact of the high price of gas and food and everything else that is surrounding living a good life. Why should our retirees have to grovel in their golden years? Because that's what's happening. If you ain't a member of Congress, you gotta grovel. Or if you're not in the corporatist wing, you gotta grovel. Something wrong with these folks. Further, Senator Bernie Sanders wants retirees to have more money, and I do too. And he wants it to come from higher taxes on the wealthy. So that's how we gonna pay for it before your play cousins come asking, how we gonna pay for it? We're gonna put a higher tax on the ultra wealthy in this country. Sanders alongside Senator Elizabeth Warren and Reps Jan Schakowsky and Val Hoyle introduced legislation to beef up Social Security benefits and keep the program solvent through 2096. So again, when you play cousins, ask you how we're gonna pay for it, tell them to repeat after you. We are going to pay for it because we're gonna raise taxes on the ultra wealthy in the United States of America instead of cutting their taxes and starving government. Just in case your play cousin and them don't understand how government works, I want you to be able to teach them this lesson. And it is, government is a service industry. Have them repeat after you. Government is a service industry. Now, the services have to be paid for, and the way that we pay for those services is through our collective tax dollars. That's our social contract with one another. You may ask for some examples. I'm glad that you asked for those examples. Education is one example. We as a country decided that K-12 education should be paid for within a social contract with our tax dollars. Now, most of those tax dollars come from local and state sources, but we also put money in the pot on the federal level as well. Say it with me. So every time we cut taxes on the ultra wealthy in this country, we create the conundrum of government not having enough resources to meet its obligation towards our social contract. Okay? So explain it to your cousins and them when they ask you. And we can give them many more examples, but I just want to start with that one very simple example. Now, as for the proposal, here is how it breaks down. I had to take a little sidebar and work out this little lesson for you to tell your cousin and them when they start asking how we gonna pay for it. All right, so we got it. Tell them, and you can use other examples as well. But here, currently only up to $162,000 is taxed for Social Security, while any income above that limit is free from the tax. Under Sanders and Warren's proposal, the cap would be lifted and income over $250,000 would be subject to the payroll tax. Senator Sanders described the urgency of expanding these checks, and this is how he explained it. At a time when nearly half of older Americans have no retirement savings and almost 50% of our nation's seniors are trying to survive on an income of less than $25,000 a year. That is a shame for God. That's what my grandmother would say, Jackson, a shame for God. Not before God, a shame for God. That is a shame. Our job is not to cut Social Security. Our job is to expand Social Security so that every senior in America can retire with the dignity, underline, bold, underscore, that they deserve. Underline, bold, underscore, and every person with a disability, bold, underline, underscore, exclamation point, can live with the security they need. Now, a reminder of how vital it is to expand Social Security. Let's look at these stats right here. 25.2% of all American adults receive some form of Social Security. The average monthly disability benefit is only $1,200. $1,280, about $1,200. If Social Security was cut by 20%, the average monthly benefit would decrease to only $301 each month, or $3,612 per year. Jackson, your thoughts on what Senators Sanders and Warren et al., because there's some others, are doing?
Well, I think that this really sheds light on the big issue facing this country, other than corruption, but really the culture of keeping corporate America held up high no matter what. Because competition in reality has been eliminated from the marketplace in a lot of ways through corporate tax cuts, through estate tax cuts, through deregulation where deregulation doesn't need to be had. In that way, it makes it for people or industries or entities that have the majority of the resources and capital. It allows them to not really need to compete with everybody else, because the bigger issue is if there was a real clean desire, hard desire among the powerful, among those who have corrupted the government to really fix these issues, then there's even more ways to do it than just raising taxes on corporations or the ultra wealthy. We can continue the legalization of cannabis along with other decriminalization of other substances. Then we got the spreading of like legal sports betting. That's making money hand over fist, taxing that differently. I mean, pretty much anywhere you look, there's some type of way that we can draw out tax dollars from something that people are doing. The problem is that there's no desire, for the people at the helm of government to actually fix these issues. So anybody who really argues against fixing Social Security or not privatizing it or like making education and healthcare more affordable, you're really not saying anything other than I don't think people deserve this. It really boils down to it.
That they're not worthy. I mean, that's basically what they're saying, because where there is a will, there is absolutely a way.